Hi, in this video this series of videos we're going to be working through a GCSE paper. Please do stop the video, have a go at each of the questions, then compare your solutions. Each of the videos is going to be about 20-30 minutes or so. It should give you about an hour's worth of fairly focused revision. If you're not sure about anything, always add a comment. I'll come back to you and I look forward to seeing you inside the video.
Hi, this is video 2 in the playlist where we're looking at the November 2019 higher tier paper 2 for Edexcel. In the previous video we completed through to question number 12. In this video we're going to start from question number 13 onwards. Okay, so here we are with question number 13, and we've got Sakira investing £3,500 in a savings account. She's going to be paid interest for the first 2 years and then R interest for the third year, and then finally she's got that amount in the savings account at the end of the 3-year period. So what has she actually achieved? Well, she started off with 3,550. That was multiplied by an interest rate of 1.026, which is the decimal equivalent of 102.6%. So if I write 102.6%, the top there, the decimal equivalent to that is 1.026. Okay, and that's for a period of 2 years, so that's going to be to the value of 2. And then she's also got this R interest rate. So if I just call that X, and that's going to be her interest rate for the final year or third year. Okay, and at the end of that period of time she's then got a total of 3819.21 in her account. So therefore, if we want to find X, it's just really a case of making X the subject. I'm going to get 3819.21 all divided by 3550 multiplied by 1.026 the power of 2, and that's going to give me 1.0219989. Okay, now you remember saying before that it was actually the decimal equivalent, so effectively that's the decimal equivalent of saying it's the same as 102.199%. Okay, so therefore the value of R, which is going to be the percentage increase, is going to be 2.2%, and that's correct to 1 decimal place, and that would be the answer to that particular question. Okay, so we're going to move on then to question number 14, which is a counting strategies. This is fairly new. It came out in about 2016 or so. I suppose it's so fairly new, it's been around for a little while now, but basically it's the whole idea of looking at the choices of different menu items. In this particular case it's going to be a body colour, a roof colour and a wheel type. Okay, so the body colour, well, she's got a choice of 19 of them. The roof, well, we don't know, that's what we're being asked to do, so we'll just call it R for roof, and then it's going to be multiplied by the wheel type, which is going to be 25 different types of wheels, and when she's finished with all of that she's got 3,325 different ways of colouring this particular car. Okay, can't imagine myself, but there you go. Okay, so R is going to equal to 3325, making R the subject, divided by 19 times 25, which when you work that out, put it into a calculator, that's going to give us 7. Okay, so she therefore has 7 roof colours to choose from for her new car. Okay, hopefully that's okay for you. A bit of a strange question really, but I guess that's alright. So that will give you 2 marks. Let's move on then to question number 15. Now, you might do it slightly differently to me. What I tend to do is I ignore the first bracketed term, so that's 3x plus 2, and then I look at the second set of terms. So when I expand that out, I'm going to get 2x times x, which is 2x squared, and 2x times minus 5, which is minus 10x, and then I'm going to look at the bottom, which is going to be plus x, and then I'm going to look at minus 5. Okay, so when I write that out, out just a little bit tidier, I'm going to get 3x plus 2 multiplied by 2x squared, and I've got minus 10x plus x is minus 9x, and then I've got minus 5. Okay, and then I do exactly the same process. Again, I completely ignore the plus 2. I'm just going to multiply through by 3x. I'm going to get 6x cubed, just be careful there. Then 3x times minus 9x is going to give me minus 27x squared, and 3x times minus 5 is going to give me minus 15x. Okay, so I've finished with my multiplication of 3x. I'm now going to multiply by plus 2. So I'm going to get plus 2 multiplied by 2x squared is going to give me plus 4x squared. And then I'm going to get minus 18x, and then finally I'm going to get minus 10. Okay, and when I tidy all of that up, I end up with 6x cubed, and then I've got minus 27x squared plus 4x squared is going to give me minus 23x squared. I've got minus 15x minus 18x there, so therefore when I put those two together I'm going to get minus 33x, and then finally I've got a constant at the end, minus 10, and that's the end of that particular question. Okay, let's move on then to question number 16, which is a probability tree type question. Again, there are a couple of ways in which you can work this out. I tend to prefer to write it out as a probability tree. It just kind of works for me. So Marek is taking at random 2 of the cards. So we've got first pick and second pick. So let's have a look at what happens. So we've got first pick. Well, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 odd cards out of 9 altogether. So that's 5 out of 9 are odd. And then I've therefore got 4 out of 9 which are even, and that's his odds on the first pick. Let's look at the second pick. Well, that's going to be odd and even. Always make sure you keep these in the same order in which you've written them, so that's odd and even. Okay, now however there are only 8 cards in the pack. So therefore I normally put my 8s in straight away, then it doesn't confuse me. So with the top one, the first time, if you picked an odd, there's only 4 odd cards left, but there are still 4 even cards. With the bottom line, if you picked an even card first, there's now 3 out of 8, and therefore there will be 5 out of 8 odd cards left. Again, if you're not sure about any of this, please leave a message. I'll always come back to you. Okay, so let's look at my outcomes. Well, I've got odd, 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 even, even, odd, and even, even. Now the 3 that I'm actually interested in are going to be these 3, because what I'm looking for is the probability that the product, in other words, when I multiply the 2 cards together, I'm going to get an even number. So when I multiply an odd and an even number together, let's say 3 multiplied by 6, I'm always going to get an even number. So therefore I'm interested in the odd even probability, which is going to be 5 over 9 multiplied by 4 over 8, which is going to equal 20 over 72. It's a similar story with the even odd. I'm going to get 4 over 9 multiplied by 5 over 8, and that's going to give me 20 over 72 as well. And then even, of course I'm going to be interested in that, because that's going to give me an even number when I multiply it out, which is 4 over 9 multiplied by 3 over 8, which is going to give me 12 over 72. So the probability that the product is an even number is going to be the sum of each of those fractions. So I would always suggest that you don't, however tempting it might be, you don't reduce those fractions until you've actually answered the question, which in this particular case is adding them all up, and that's going to give you 52 over 72. If you key that into a calculator, it will actually reduce to 13 over 18, which is the answer to that particular question. Okay, hopefully that's all right. If you're not sure, again, please do let me know. I will always come back to you. Okay, let's move on then to question number 17. What I'll do, I think, is I'll stop at question number 18. So we'll do number 17 first, which is we're being asked to work out the angle CAB. So it's actually this angle here, CAB. Okay, so it's not too bad really. You've just got to kind of recognize that a radius meets the tangent at 90 degrees. So therefore, if we look at this first right hand side triangle, which is triangle number 1, we've got a right angle triangle, but we know the internal angles add up to 180 degrees. So therefore we can say 90 plus 32 is going to equal 122, and 180 minus 122 will give us 58. So therefore this top angle here must be 58 degrees. Okay, the next thing is that we can work out the angle that's next to it, which is angle BOA, and that's going to equal 180 minus 58, which is going to equal 122 degrees. Okay, so that's that one at the top there. Now, because this 0 is the center of the circle, then 0B and 0A are both radius. So therefore what we've got is an isosceles triangle. So I'm just going to have to draw this right at the very bottom here. I've got an isosceles triangle where the top angle is actually 122 degrees, which we've just worked out, and the two bottom angles, let's call them X and X. Okay, so therefore, because it's isosceles, we know the base angles are equal. So it's going to be 180 minus 122 is going to equal 58, and then therefore X is going to equal 29 degrees. So if I go back to my actual picture here, it means this angle is 29 degrees. Okay, now as I mentioned before, a radius meets a tangent at 90 degrees, so therefore working out CAB, which is the one that we're interested in, is just going to be 90 degrees take away 29 degrees, and that would give us CAB. If I just do this at the top there, so angle CAB is going to equal 90 minus 29, which is going to be equal to 61 degrees, and that's the answer to that particular question. Okay, hopefully that's okay for you. We'll do the final video on this particular worksheet. Hopefully it's been useful. Let's move on then to question number 18, which is a histogram question. Okay, so the histogram gives information about the heights in meters of the trees in a park. The histogram is incomplete, which is this bit here that's missing. Okay, so let's have a look then at the information we've got. Well, we know the frequency density for at least 4 of the class width, so we can use that to work out the number of trees that are represented by each of the grey towers. Okay, so what I'm going to do is at the bottom here, I'm just going to write frequency density equals frequency divided by class width. Now that's the formula that I can use for each one of these, because effectively if we look at the very first one, I've got a class width of 2.5 and I've got a frequency density of 1.2. So if I put that into my formula, I'm going to get 1.2 as the frequency density. The frequency is what I'm interested in other words the number of trees, but I do know the class width is 2.5. So therefore if I multiply 2.5 by 1.2, I'm going to get that the number of trees for this first block is going to be 3. And then really I do the same for everything else. So therefore I know that with block number 2, I've got a class width of 2.5, I've got a height of 2, so 2.5 times 2 is 5. Okay. The third one along, I've got a class width of 5, which is this length along here is 5, and then I've got a frequency density all the way up here of 2.8. Okay, and 5 multiplied by 2.8 means there must be 14 trees in that block. And then finally I've got a class width of 12.5 to to 25, this will be 12.5, and then I've got a height of, or a frequency density of 0.8, I think. So that's going to give me 10 trees in that particular block. Okay, so therefore I know now that the 4 towers that are represented there are representative of 80% of the trees. So therefore I can say that the trees shown equals 80%. Okay, because 20% is not shown, so 80% of the trees equals 32. If I add up 3 plus 5 plus 14 plus 10, I'm going to get my 32. Okay, so therefore I can just change that now to a decimal. I can say that trees are going to equal to 32 divided by 0.8. You might want to work out 10%, then multiply by 10, and that's perfectly fine. But either way, hopefully both of us will get 40 trees in total that are within the park itself. Okay, so what we're looking then is that we need to complete the frequency diagram, the histogram, and therefore I know that 20% of the trees are going to be equal to 8, because that's the difference between 40 and 32. Okay, so therefore I can use exactly the same formula. Frequency density equals frequency divided by class width, and that's going to equal a frequency of 8 and a class width of 2.5. Therefore the frequency density will be 3.2, and I can just simply draw this on this particular diagram, and that would give me then the completion of the diagram of the histogram as they've asked for. Okay, hopefully that was useful to you. Please do let me know in the comments. I'll look forward to seeing you inside the next video.